Welcome to the Dumb Idea Podcast Show with Mike and Alex. We thank you for joining us as we have a couple of beers and a cigar and talk about what's going on in our lives. Grab an adult beverage and a smoke and settle in with us. Please like, subscribe, and comment on each show so we can hear whether you agree or disagree with our take on things. Listen wherever your favorite podcasts are and at www.dumbideapodcast.com. All right, so this is going to be a touchy subject for us to talk about. It's either going to really piss a lot of people off or a lot of people will kind of see that we're going to be in the middle of this. But we got to talk about the virtue signaling of a lot of people out there. And I don't think there's this many people that believe one side or the other on some of these topics, that they're all out here just flashing the bat signal that they're on board.
Well, I think some of it is they are just trying to be with the in crowd. And another issue with it is that because of social media, it's easy to see it. You can see it all over the place. Before it would be a sticker on a truck, maybe a T-shirt, a politician's, whoever their candidate of choice is in their front yard, you'd see that. But now, because of social media, because the village nut can have his own space where people will pay attention, they can all connect, you see a lot more of it. So, even September 11th, and I'm certainly not going to say that being patriotic is a signal of virtue. However, I will say that when you don't necessarily believe, you're just trying to say, hey, I'm one of the crowd. I have my tattered American flag that's been hanging off my antenna for 6 months, and it's a disgrace. At that point, do you really feel this way, or are you just trying to fit in?
Or even if you agree with a certain side, but not to the point where you're ready to just raise the fist and say, yeah, this is what I believe in so hard that I'm gonna put out this just symbol of freedom. What if you don't want to put out an American flag after 9/11?
Right.
What if you what if you wanted to put out a flag on your front yard that said it's springtime because spring is lovely? At that time, if you didn't have the American flag sticking out, I think people were kind of looking at you a little strange.
Yeah, you were definitely. I mean, when that happened, I was much younger, of course. But if you didn't show, it's almost like what was wrong with you. Right. And a current thing could be the black squares that people were posting over the summer. Do you understand what you're doing? And I don't know if people entirely grasp the issue, if they're just doing it because they see a celebrity do it. Back before 2000, back at 9/11, that's when Toby Keith got huge, and people were listening to Red, White, and Blue, and then there was the I forget who wrote the song and performed it, but God Bless America and all of that. How much of that, and now those very same people, not all of them, of course, but many of them are on the other side, saying that the United States is inherently racist and evil. So which one is it?
Well, could you imagine after 9/11 happened, if you were a Muslim family, the pressure you must have felt to put an American flag out of your front door? Now, keep in mind, most immigrants associate themselves as Americans because they've lived in another country that's not the best, right? Or not that America is the best, but you know what I mean. It's a tough country to live in, probably where they came from. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the trek here to make a better life for themselves. So there are very few people that are more about the American spirit than immigrants that came to make a better life for themselves. And now some of these Muslim families were probably put in a position where they felt they had to, for lack of a better, it's not virtue signaling, but they had to put the symbols out there to show that to their neighbors and their friends that they were on the American side of this topic.
Right, because of the color of their skin, because of the way they chose to worship, they felt some need to protect themselves, to show, hey, I'm one of you guys. And is that a virtue signal? It always gets looked at in the negative connotation, and to feel that you have to do that in this country so that you can just be left alone Now, this is 20 years ago that this is going on, and now that's before social media was prevalent. What was the biggest thing anyone had in 2001? MySpace,
Friendster.
Yeah, it's instant messenger.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
By the way, R.I.P. to those.
Yeah, but those were the biggest things they had at that point. Were so it wasn't this thing where you were posting pictures and posting this and posting that, and had a presence. So what you had to do is put the giant flag in your car, or a sticker, or the Yankee hats that said NY, and like there was a PD on one side of it and an FD on the other side of it to show that you supported and there's nothing wrong with supporting those guys. Those guys made the ultimate sacrifice, but
it's the overt signal though,
right?
So that no one can say, oh, you don't believe in this because you don't have the Yankee flag with the NY and Boston red, white, and blue.
Right. And I hate the New York Yankees and would never wear Yankees anything.
No, the Yankees and the Red Sox are the worst.
Yeah.
Let's just this is not about that. This is not that kind of podcast, but if anyone wanted to know where we stood on this podcast, the Yankees and the Red Sox, if they fell and if global warming happened and New York and Boston, Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium went underwater for forever, no tears will be shed on this podcast.
Not one.
Just saying. Okay, moving on though.
Right.
Back to the virtue. Maybe I'd virtue signal about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. If I wore a Yankee hat at that point, it would be 100% a signal of virtue.
Sure, yeah.
In solidarity with Yankee Stadium being a home,
swamp at that point,
right? A home for wildlife, to like a reef, an artificial classless reef. But yeah, at that time, like those people felt like they had to do it. And
here's nowadays though, it's not on that national level. It's creeping its way into our neighborhoods.
Yeah, like
it's even neighbor versus neighbor. Like it's like having a Nancy in the neighborhood. She calls the cops on Sheila, right? Sheila has a little bit of weed. She happened to say, "Hey Nancy, if you wanna smoke a little bit, come on over." And then Nancy calls the cops on Sheila. Now technically, is Nancy wrong? No, I mean she reported a supposed crime, right? But is Nancy a jerk?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. And I think that's where we're kind of headed right now, where these people, they can get off. Like when someone calls them out on it, they can say, well, what do you mean? This is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the right thing to do, but you're a jerk about it.
Right.
It doesn't make you a good person.
Yep.
It makes you someone who is interjecting yourself into someone else's life unneededly.
Right.
Doesn't need to be that way. Just keep to yourself. It's how much time do you have on your hands that you're going to start ratting out neighbors? Is this where we're going?
Yeah.
Or if let's say your neighbor just simply doesn't agree with you, are you then going to turn around and put a flag? You're going to put a sign in your front yard so that they see it every day, and just so they know that they don't agree with you.
Right.
And then where does that end?
And then the neighbor goes and sees the sign and then finds some obscure HOA bylaw that the sign shouldn't be there, and then starts to nitpick on that, and it becomes a thing when it didn't have to be a thing.
Yeah. It's like kind of like baseball, right? Years ago, you remember when A-Rod said there's like unwritten rules of baseball, when I guess like someone was trotting around the bases and he yelled, "I got it," or something like that, and they were like, "Unwritten rules of baseball, A-Rod, you shouldn't have done that." And he was like, "Why? I didn't do anything." But yeah, you kind of did though.
Yeah.
It's like you were the guy who was the jerk. You're not the person that is following those unwritten rules of just how to be a good human being.
Right.
Right? Like, you don't rat your neighbors out. I mean, unless they're like, look, I mean, if there's a crack den next door, sure, call the cops.
Yeah.
But if you got Sheila with like a dime bag and she's puffing for her glaucoma or whatever, she got the aching back, you're gonna turn her into cops,
right? Or just going and being a pain over over minor administrative or little violations of rules of the neighborhood or insignificant laws having to do with parked cars and trash cans being out and all of these things to do just because, and it all started with the sign or the disagreement over politics or where someone stands on a right-left issue or whatever it may be, but now it's spilled over into actual consequences, and I don't think anyone really takes into account those second and third order consequences or even understands where someone else might be coming from as far as what they're dealing with in addition to this little spat they're now having.
You don't know what someone else is going through right now. They have other fish to fry in their own personal life than to deal with someone. And we'll use the HOA as an example. My father, I'd say probably about 12 years ago, he said, never serve on an HOA board. It's going to be the worst thing you've ever done because people just complain. And then, of course, he did it. He went and did it. He didn't follow his own advice. And then, of course, I didn't follow the advice, and I joined the HOA board. And for the effort, for the volunteer time. This isn't one of those paid positions. It's volunteer time to make the community a nicer place to live. Mm-hmm. All right? And you got certain people that are there to check every single thing you do against the tiniest law written. It's like, I'm sorry the notes weren't formatted properly for you, right? I'm sorry that I have a job. I got kids to worry about. We got things going on, and I didn't put the notes out.
Right, and you're not getting paid a dime.
Not a dime.
For any of this.
Not a dime. No, by the way, the neighborhood didn't get, no one's blown it up. Right. Nothing adversely has happened to you.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're going to put together a 40-hour work week designed to somehow say that we're not doing the correct job. It's like, get out of here. Nobody wants to hear from you. And by the way, with all your complaints, nobody's listening to you anyway. Nothing has changed because you decided to say, well, the date wasn't at the top of the notes. It was at the bottom. Or you guys didn't properly mark down the time that the meeting started. And,
well,
it's
in
like,
court,
sorry.
Yeah, in court, they would say that is that a fatal error?
Right.
And no, that is not a fatal error. So everything's fine, but it's these. I think it's especially worse during COVID because people don't have anything better to do. They literally have nothing better to do.
They're at home all the time, and all they have to do, and like you said with social media, all you have to do is click send.
Yeah.
Even with email.
Yeah.
I don't have to get up. I don't have to look you in the face.
Right.
I write my email from behind my chair inside my house. I click send. That message is going to go to 5 other people. And yeah, it's not the best worded. And guess what? It probably had the intent to make those people feel like garbage.
Yeah.
It's like you're literally spending 30 hours a week just to make other people feel bad. But you can hide behind it because you can say technically you're in the right. By the law, you're right.
Right.
You're right. We are doing this wrong. But as a human being, you suck.
And it's one of those just because you're right, is it the right thing to do? And oftentimes it's no. Just because you happen to be right, should you? Just because can you? Should you? And people don't consider that. There's also the there's no risk of getting punched in the mouth.
None. Zero.
And I don't remember things being like this because I have friends that have older kids that are in high school and the middle school, even maybe later elementary school. Like, it's scary how young it goes, and they're obsessed with these phones and breaking down over things that happen over Twitter. I guess the kids don't use that anymore. Instagram, Snapchat, whatever platforms they're using. And so why do you care what this person thinks? But that's their entire world.
It gets it gets under your skin,
right? But
for no reason.
But none of this happened when we were, not to date ourselves, but none of this happened when we were kids because there's always you could say that, but you're probably going to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, you definitely, And look, I'm not advocating violence, right? We're not advocating that, but there was always the threat of that.
Yeah.
Like, if I say this to Johnny's face, I might get punched in the nose and it's going to hurt. So do I really want to say this?
Right. And then there's also the fact of, like, do I want to say this awful thing? So, like, you and I are sitting right across from one another. Mm-hmm. And if I was, if we're sitting here ball busting, that's fine. But then if it gets mean, am I going to say something to you that I know is going to hurt your feelings? No, you're my friend. I'm not going to do that. But when it comes to social media,
of course you're going to say that you don't know.
Right. There doesn't have to be. There's not that immediate feedback of there's a delay. So it's not brutal hand-to-hand combat. It's from a distance. You're taking pot shots from someone. You're sniping them.
The worst pages on Facebook are the community ones.
Yeah.
It's the community ones. It's and not so much the yard sale ones, although they can get a little snippy. Like if Johnny's putting the Jordans up for 300 instead of 200 what they're worth, someone might get, come on, Johnny.
Yeah.
Come on now. That Air Jordans ain't right. You know you ain't right.
Have you seen the neighborhood Facebook page bingo meme?
No.
Oh, it's
yeah. I think
like what's that helicopter flying over? Like, so it has the bingo squares, and what's that helicopter flying over? It's got all these different things, and when you connect them all, you get bingo. So it's what's the helicopter? Why is the police car on the street? Whose trash cans out? Thinly veiled racism? Like all these different things that are on there, and when you go to a neighborhood Facebook page, you see it. And that's what makes the meme so funny is that, wow, that's actually how they are.
Right.
So.
And those pages, I know like nowadays, like they want Facebook to take down the organizing, right? Yeah. Well, the funny issue is they went after Parler for the free speech issue. Like you guys didn't monitor your stuff. Meanwhile, Parler sent information to the FBI about people that were talking about the January 6th thing. But you know where they actually organized? It's Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Well, yeah.
And Facebook's trying to come out. They're virtue signaling, trying to say how great they are.
Yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, I don't even know how Twitter got involved because you can't organize anything on Twitter. You really can't.
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I mainly have it just to, get updates about traffic and things like that.
I look at it for sports trades.
Yeah.
No. I got rid of one. I had 2 accounts on Twitter. I got rid of one.
Yeah.
I was done dealing with the garbage.
Yeah. And I never post anything. I gave up Facebook for Lent 2 years ago. It's the best thing I ever did. I have Instagram, which is just pictures. So, I mean, I'm not explaining anything. Everyone knows what this stuff is.
Air quotes, just pictures.
Yeah. but these things, people get engaged in these arguments, and I've seen friendships end over this nonsense.
Right.
It's complete nonsense. You can no longer have a civilized. You can't disagree on anything because everyone's attached their identity to their politics, to their position. So if I happen to be an ardent supporter of XYZ and you're super against it, well, when you attack that position, you're now attacking me.
Right.
Because I've tribalized and just put myself in an echo chamber. But that's what happens on these sites, and it's no one talks to each other anymore.
Well, and the funny thing is that same conversation face to face, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably find common ground with that person.
Yeah. I
don't think as individuals with common sense, I'm not talking about the straight fringes. I'm not talking about like the 4 or 5% of the country that do like the political canvassing or the campaigning.
Yeah.
It's a very small portion of this population.
Yep.
The other 90% of this country would sit down, rather than talking over Facebook, if you sat down with them, you would probably find some common ground on your issue.
Yeah.
There might be a little bit of a difference of opinion, but for the most part, you would understand their point of view. They would understand, or I would understand theirs. They would understand mine.
Right, and you might not agree on everything. And the problem is that the most vocal parts of this are from the extreme right and the extreme left. And I believe it was Dwight Eisenhower said that you have the middle where pretty much everyone resides, so that's the roadway, and the extreme right and the extreme left, that's the gutters. Right. So you're dealing with gutter people who will do whatever they need to do to prove their point, so or to advance their particular ideology. So
and they always say, well, we see we're shouting this, you're shouting that. If there really is a majority in the middle, where are they?
Yeah.
They don't care
Right.
about you.
They have other things to do.
Right. And want to know what they do? But here's the thing, though. They go vote.
Yeah.
They vote, which is why you've got about 30% that are always going to vote Republican. 30% will always vote Democrat, and you've got your 40% straight in the middle.
Yeah.
And whoever can speak to them the most is going to win.
Yeah. It's what is it, like baseball? Every team's going to win 50 and lose 50. Is what you do with the other 62 that matter.
That's right.
And these, but the problem becomes that I think is when the people who reside in the middle feel that they then have to pick a side. And when that side doesn't necessarily, and whether they feel they have to pick a side because they identify with a certain, say, whether they're a member of a certain race or ethnicity, they feel that they have to identify with one side or the other, or they've been beaten down into believing one thing or another, then they have to say, okay, well, I can't be. But the name calling and vitriol is so bad, and they're attaching these just awful words to just thought. Then, if you maintain a position and I call you the worst thing I could possibly call you because you're against my, well, no one wants to be called that. No one wants to be thought of as a bigot or anything. So they're going to suppress their speech, and then maybe they'll go and do their virtue signaling to be left alone.
Just to ward off the wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people in this country just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
So if I need to say X, Y, Z to be left alone, then most people are going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, look, just get off my lawn.
Yeah.
I got things going on.
Right.
Like that I don't want anyone involved in.
Yeah.
Or I don't care if you know. Just want to be left alone to do it. I'm trying to live. Life is not easy for a lot of people.
Right.
Either with the demons in their head or external factors, right? Everyone's going to have some stuff going on in their life at some point. And they just want to be left alone to deal with it with themselves and some close friends and family.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need Nancy from next door banging on my door because I don't have the American flag out front.
Yeah.
Or I don't have the thin blue line flag.
Yeah.
Right? Or, I was outside, I filled up a pool for my kid, and I didn't have the American flag draped around my nether regions.
Right.
I was swimming, but I didn't have the American flag on when I was doing it, so I must be anti-American.
Right. Yeah. You are you hate this country, and because you don't, which actually, if you look at flag protocol, is disrespectful to the flag anyway.
Isn't pretty much anything, if it's not on a flagpole in front of your house or up in or properly done in front of your house,
right, or folded the correct way,
right? Isn't it disrespect to the flag?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. All that stuff. So, and it's funny because the people, the guy with the tattered flag, is complaining that people don't have the flag. Is disrespecting. It's such a, because they don't even understand it.
But that also doesn't mean like that. I think some people put that out there as an extreme alternative to having someone's political views thrown in their face. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the way of saying, I don't agree with you. This is my symbol. Get off my lawn.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, I don't agree with the agenda you're pushing, whether it be right, left, or center. Although, let's face facts, no one in the center is pushing the agenda, but right and left. I don't agree with you. This is my signal to show that. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Although, and I think the people in the middle do that more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and the people, whereas the people on the other side are doing it as an advertisement.
Or an antagonistic approach. They want to piss you off by saying, I'm right. I believe in this. You're wrong. I don't care what you do. You're always going to be wrong.
Right. Like the guy with the AR-15 on his T-shirt. So an AR-15, I own one. It's a tool. It's an object, and feel about them as you will. They exist, but I don't feel the need to advertise the fact that I have one on a T-shirt. Now, am I doing it to brag that I own one of these? If the person that wears this puts the sticker on their truck or has the picture of the rifle on their shirt, are they doing it to say, are they doing it to say that they support this, or are they doing it to antagonize someone from the other side to goad that confrontation?
Is the antagonistic part to say I'm pro Second Amendment. I know you aren't. So I'm going to put this sticker on here just to piss you off as I'm driving down the road.
Right.
And because other than that, what's the point of putting the bumper sticker on?
None.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. You want to know what people should put stickers on the back of their car for that everyone hates? But, at the end of the day, you're like, I'd probably do it too. My kid's an honor roll student because you're proud of your kid, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Or if your kid got into college, you're putting the college on the back saying, I'm a Salisbury mom.
Right.
Right. That's understandable.
Naval Academy dad. I'll take that one.
Right. Right. Absolutely. You're proud of your kids. I get it. You want to flaunt that. That's not virtue signaling. That's just you being proud of your offspring.
Right.
No problems there. But when you're putting something like, or like the Calvin and Hobbes sticker.
Oh, Calvin peeing on a Chevy bow tie,
or peeing on the Ram, or peeing on the Ford. It's the like, haha, my truck's better than yours. Right. It's like, they're all gonna break down.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely virtue signaling. It wasn't enough that you had the Chevy. That everyone knows you're anti-Ford. We get that.
Right.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't care.
Go coal roll somewhere else.
I drive a Toyota Sienna and a Ford Fusion. I don't care.
You want to know why? Because they're built well, and they're not going to cost you a whole bunch of money because they're not going to break down.
Yeah, and it's going to start when I want it to start.
Yeah, right. It's going to start on the cold day when the kids got to go to school. You want to know why? Because you might not want the kids at home all day.
Yeah.
That's why.
And then you get
Toyota for life, right? You know what I mean?
And then you get into the virtue signaling with the car itself. The greatest, one of the best ones I like looking at is the Civic Hybrid versus the Toyota Prius. They very similar from reputable manufacturers, get similar gas mileage and all that stuff. But what's the difference between them? The Honda Civic has a little sticker that says little badge that says hybrid on it. The Toyota Prius screams, "I'm green." It screams it. Now, you lose a lot of that green, a lot of the environmental friendliness when you're trying to go, 70 miles an hour down the interstate with that little tiny four-banger towing around
wailing at you.
Yeah, towing 1,000 pounds of batteries. Your M3 is probably getting better mileage at that point. But hey, you know what? The Civic Hybrid doesn't scream green. Neither does a little diesel Jetta. That doesn't scream green. But the Prius, that shows that it's showing my environmental virtue, that I am superior to you because I care about the environment. When really, the Civic's probably the better car.
I went and washed ducks when the Exxon Valdez capsized.
Right. Or
I made them healthy again.
Yeah. Or they didn't. Because they just want to make you think that they did, that they care about the ducks. They don't care about the ducks. They just care about the image that they're trying to put out there, which is that I care about this or I care about that. When really, but what have you ever done to show that you actually care about any of these things that you're signaling that you care about?
Well, never mind that person who went and saved the ducks. They don't have the pictures of the after. That shows the most soapy sea in the world because of how much Dawn was used to clean it up.
Right.
It's like, come on now. If one person, I love how they say one person can make a difference. One person. Yeah, not so much. Yeah. Okay, you got a Prius. Well, Johnny over here, put smokestacks coming out of the back of his Dodge bed with his Cummins diesel, and he just floored it. And put out as much CO2 as a semi-truck.
Right.
So guess what? That's your carbon offset right there.
Yeah.
You and Johnny have no impact on this.
Right.
You want to know what it does? Agriculture, the agricultural runoff into our bays and our rivers and our seas. Or the industrial complex that's just pumping pollution into this world.
Yeah, or bottled water.
Right.
Something that you get for free through a faucet that you've chosen to buy Voss water. Because
it tastes better.
Yeah, I guarantee that we need to do that. We need to have a contest to see
the taste test
to see if anyone can actually tell the difference.
Fiji's going to win hands down. I'm putting it out there at Fiji with the square. You want to know why? Square bottle.
Well, I'm
makes
sure
all the difference.
I'm sure the flow of the water comes out.
Yeah, I think at this point we've beaten this horse pretty good, right? So if you're out there, try not throwing your feelings all out over the internet. You know what I mean? Or even in your neighborhoods, let people be. Let them believe what they're going to believe.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing anything other than angering more people, right? It's like people got enough going on to worry about, whether or not they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody out there, if you're listening to this, which there's probably like 4 of you listening right now, which we appreciate the 4 of you. Thank you for tuning in. Why don't we give people a break for a while from all this, and put all that energy into something good. Go feed the homeless.
Yeah, actually do it.
Yeah, go out. The homeless shelters need help. The food banks need help. You're going to do a lot more for people if you do that than by trying to piss off your neighbor.
Or just be nice to your kid. Go throw a ball around with them. That'll go further. But
if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, make a comment or two, and if you need to, you can find us on the dumbideapodcast.com and wherever you can find your friendly neighborhood podcasts. Thanks for listening in.